Walt Disney, an American icon, the founder of what we know today as the Walt Disney Company. A shrewd businessman, kind of, and now an audio animatronic. Last year at D23 Expo, Disney made a wonderful announcement that Walt Disney himself would be receiving an audio animatronic show in the Main Street Opera House on Main Street, USA at Disneyland, where Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, a show of Walt's own making, has been and will be residing. And on the 70th anniversary of Disneyland, the show opened to general audiences if you could snag a virtual queue, and reviews were, well, they were mixed. Some people said that it looked great, others said that it looked like a corpse on stage. Not many people could seem to come to an agreement on the state of the show. Or, so the internet would have you to believe. So me, myself, as the intrepid reporter that I ever am, made my way to Anaheim, California, just in time for the opening, September 1st, 2025, to see the show for myself and to decide whether or not, for sure, finally, if the show was good or bad. That's the reason. And now that the show has finally graced these two peepers, I can tell you without a doubt that the show is wonderful. But I do have to explain myself.
Sorry, there was something caught back there. I have to explain why I think the show is so great, and why I think some people were ready to just pounce on this animatronic at a moment's notice, ready to rip it apart with their bare hands the second they saw it. Because it's an interesting sort of case study on Disney fans and the way audio animatronics themselves are built. It's very interesting. But for my point to be understood, we're going to have to travel a little bit further back in time. I remember it like it was a week ago, because it actually was 1 week ago. Alright, today is actually very exciting. I'm very excited for what we're going to be doing today because it's something I have never done at Disneyland. It's a brand new attraction, sort of, and it has to do with Walt Disney. You know, the person who built Disneyland. Well, he didn't build Disneyland, but he thought about Disneyland a lot. It was kind of his job. He's like a professional, that was kind of his job. He was like a professional thinker. Thought about Disneyland a lot. But I just realized that I'm in the wrong park right now. I'm at Grizzly Peak in California Adventure. And Walt is not here. Not mentally, like the idea of Walt is still here at Grizzly Peak and at California Adventure, sure. But Walt is physically at Forest Lawn Cemetery. But his animatronic is across the way at Disneyland, so I gotta go over there real quick. Tyler's room is technically bigger. Okay, this is marginally better. I think we're close. So I've heard varying accounts here with this animatronic. I thought it was about time, a little bit late, to see it for myself. So that's my plan. That's what I'm gonna do. It's a nice enough day here. I mean, there's a heat advisory, so maybe it's too nice. Maybe today is too nice. Maybe it's too hot. So let's go inside. Nice air-conditioned building. Listen, okay, I love the animatronic show. I haven't seen it, I guess. I love Mr. Lincoln. I love the exhibits in there. But the best part about this is getting out of the heat, right? Getting into the air conditioning, and now we get to go see a new animatronic. It's like a double whammy of fun. All right, I think I've built it up enough. Let's go and see Walt Disney, A Magical Life. And I'll finally give you the true canon answer on whether or not the animatronic is good or bad. Then we have some concept art. I don't think
our final pre-show video will begin playing on the screen.
I've seen some of these, but it looks like there's more versions of these than I thought in the past. Because I know about this one. I know about this one, but I didn't think they were different. This is Disneyland. I believe this one was known as Mickey Mouse Park, right? These are the old studio plans, right? And then obviously it still develops over here into more of what we know today. You see the railroad there on the outside, the different lands. And then you got the hub right there. So they're developing the hub. Wow. Oh, and now see here you got the main street. And then the hub and spoke going out to different lands. The Land of Tomorrow, Frontierland, Lilliputian Land, Holiday Land, Fantasyland Lobby, Recreation Land, Main Street, and then even more so here. Looks just like a sort of updated version of that map. And here we have like the Rivers of America. We got the Mickey Mouse Club Island. Going back to Fantasyland, Lilliputianland is still stuck around in all these plans though. That's crazy. I mean, Lilliputianland did sort of stick around, right? It just became Storybook Land. It got downsized a lot, but they kept it around. Interesting. It used to be like a third of the park was Lilliputianland, and then they sort of changed it. Very cool. Anyone else remember the 60th? 55th? 50th? And then a more final version, not totally final, but so you have like Liberty Street there and Edison Square, but I have that one on my wall. You might have seen it in a video.
May I have your attention, please?
Attention had.
Behind the solid red line
Then
on
we
the
have
carpet,
a model of Walt's apartment.
I
I think that's funny, because like, are these props from Walt's apartment? Or is it just a recreation? Because if it's a recreation, it's funny, because like, it's just a facsimile of a set that they have up above the firehouse, you know? Maybe it's just me. I don't find this super impressive. Like, it's cool, but like, it's not the firehouse, you know? What the whole point of the firehouse being cool is that Walt stood there, you know? It was Walt's apartment. This is just, it's just a set.
Or cylinders that turn switches on and off by using motors instead of an electrical system.
Little Barker Parrot. He's back. Kind of. But not really. I love the Roly Crumb Tikis. What do we have on this side? Small World Pirates. Small World Goose. Okay, that's kind of cool. Getting up close with the Small World animatronic. That's awesome. Anybody else trying to go to the Beak and Barrel? The sculpting on the faces is really impressive too, because it looks like he's raising his eyebrows, but that's, you know, sculpted in there. It's not the rubber sort of like flesh they put on the Walt animatronic in there. It's a hard surface. That's awesome. The pre-show is almost more cool than the actual show. The actual show is great. But it's fun just learning about Disneyland, how they make stuff at Disneyland, I suppose, right? Dancing Man, is that? No, that's not the one from Hollywood Studios. There he is, Buddy Ebsen, doing his dance for the first sort of animatronic. And then I believe these are on loan from the Walt Disney Family Museum, right? First place in the Snow White competition, he won. Have you ever placed first place in the Snow White competition? I don't think so. And then all of Walt's awards and dignitaries, etc. Oh, someone help him. Is someone gonna help him? Help the poor guy. Ah, it's nice and quiet out here now. You can see his chest moving, I think, right? Right, Jose? Talking to Jose, not the Barker Parrot. Sorry about that, Jose. What you were saying? Yeah, it's okay. So that is what I thought. All right, let's go into the show now. Let's head in. I'm getting too distracted.
Good morning and welcome to Walt Disney and Magical Life. From Mickey Mouse to motion pictures and television, theme parks, and beyond, Walt's vision and risk-taking have given the world a lifetime of entertainment. The tribute you are about to witness is told in Walt's own words, curated from various interviews he has given throughout his storied career. Although the quality of these recordings varies, we hope you'll agree that they paint a unique and personal perspective on the man behind the magic. To help preserve the dignity of this theater, we please ask there be no eating, drinking, or smoking and please refrain from flash photography, video, lighting, and electronic device usage. If anyone has to leave at all during the show before it concludes for any reason whatsoever, please use the exit doors to your right and to your right-hand side only. Those doors will be closed throughout the performance. All you have to do is give them a gentle push, make a left down the hallway, head out through the curtain. You'll be back outside at Main Street, USA. And now, folks, here to help narrate Walt's Magical Life is none other than Chief Executive Officer of the Walt Disney Company, Mr. Bob Iger. We hope you enjoy the presentation and have yourselves a magical day here at Walt Disney's original Magic Kingdom.
And then it begins. The show itself is narrated by Disney CEO, current Disney CEO, I should say, Bob Iger. And that was actually kind of funny when I first learned that. I didn't go into this show completely blind of spoilers. I did know what the animatronic looked like, but that's about it. A little bit of his speech. I didn't know the pre-show was as long as it was, and I didn't know it was narrated by Bob Iger. So that was sort of a funny surprise. And the pre-show is very simple. It just sort of tells the story of Walt Disney's life leading up to Florida, and then eventually just a tiny little bit of the Florida project that would become Walt Disney World, but mostly his entire life leading up to Disneyland.
Now, my brother Roy is already in Los Angeles. Both of us were unemployed. We solved the problem by going into business for ourselves. We established the first animated cartoon studio in Hollywood.
Now, I'm sure most people watching this video know the Walt Disney story, or at least the broad strokes. That's what this movie offers, is the broad strokes about how Disneyland was built, how Walt got to the position that he got to eventually. But I do find it fun that it is narrated not only by Bob Iger, but also by Walt himself. Like, I hadn't heard a lot of these interview segments ever before, and so hearing them for the first time in the show was really neat and eye-opening. And then, once the movie builds up to talking about Disneyland, it shows that original piece of concept art, and then you really start hitting the facts. You start hitting the offhand Disneyland facts really quickly. And then, before you know it, it's time to see the animatronic in action. So I'm going to play the entire animatronic segment for you, just in its entirety, so that you can see it, and if you haven't seen the show or seen a video of the show before, you can form your own opinion, and then we will discuss it afterwards, because I have a few thoughts, and let's just say I'm very excited to share them with you. So without any further ado, everybody, here he is, for the first time on the Offhand Disney YouTube channel, Walter Elias Disney in animatronic form.
And the Presidential Medal of Freedom for a lifetime of inspiring others. He created dreams that live on today for millions around the world. But with all of that, when asked to name his greatest reward, Walt's reply was surprisingly humble.
Well, my greatest reward, I think, is that I've been able to build this wonderful organization, and also to have the public appreciate and accept what I've done all these years. That is a great reward. But all individuals are different. I had a brother who I really envied because he was a mailman, but he was the one that had all the fun. He had himself a trailer, and he used to go off and go fishing, and he didn't worry about payrolls. They heard story. He just had picture grocers or anything, and he was the happy one. I always said he's the smart Disney. You know, I was stumped one day when the little boy asked, "Do you draw Mickey Mouse?" And I had to admit I do not draw anymore. Well, then you think of all the jokes and ideas. No, I said, I don't do that. Finally, he looked at me and said, "Mr. Disney, just what do you do?" Well, I said, sometimes I think of myself as a little bee. I go from one area of the studio to another and gather pollen and sort of stimulate everybody. I guess that's the job I do. You know, there's a lot of satisfaction in developing ideas into realities, but there's really no secret about our approach. We keep moving forward, opening up new doors, doing new things, because we're curious. And curiosity keeps leading us down new paths. We're always exploring and experimenting. We're interested in doing things that are fun, in bringing pleasure and especially laughter to people. But I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing. It was all started by a mouse.
And we're going to stop that right away before I get copyright claimed. Now that was Walt's speech, the Walt Disney Animatronics speech. The end of the show finishes off with When You Wish Upon a Star from Pinocchio before the curtains finally fall. And I apologize if some of the angles were weird. I didn't want to be super intrusive with my filming, so I sort of, kept the camera close to the chest, screen brightness down, you know the drill. But all of that aside, after seeing the Walt Disney Animatronic in person, after seeing the show, I don't know why everybody was freaking out. And I mean, maybe I kind of do. Let me explain for a second as to what I think the problem was when they first released the first look at this animatronic. But really quickly, here are my immediate thoughts right after walking out of the show back onto Main Street, USA. And the most important part of the show, right here at the end, I'm only kind of kidding. Not really, though. It is the most important part of the show. Okay, yeah, I know. I don't know what people were tripping about. That show was amazing. That animatronic was gorgeous. I have some thoughts that I'm going to share back at the office, but that was a good show. The Bob Iger narration was kind of funny, but the story of Walt, don't talk about his death. We're not here to cry, even though some people might have been crying in the theater. It's okay. No, it was a good cry. The animatronic was great. He took the step, and I was, shocked. I knew he did it, but he did it on stage, and I was still, taken aback. It was so great. His face was really expressive. We're going to talk about comparisons between him and the Navi, the other most advanced audio animatronic Disney has ever made. But yeah, people are way too harsh on that. I don't know what you guys were talking about. That animatronic was so good, and I need to go see that show again, even though I'm leaving the park right now. It's misleading. I'm being misleading. Okay, now that I've said my piece, I love it. Why is this animatronic so dang controversial? You got two main problems here. One is that people are very, very eager to hate on just anything Disney does these days. Anything at all. It can be a objectively good change, like Pandora replacing the Hollywood backlot at California Adventure. That is an upgrade, okay? Mike and Sully to the Rescue is a great ride, but that land is not good. And there are people still upset about losing Mike and Sully. I understand that. I'm upset about losing Dinosaur, but I mean, Tropical Americas looks great. It's going to be a great change. I think Pandora is going to be a great change. We don't have to be mad at everything Disney says immediately after the land has opened and we've gotten to experience it and see it for ourselves. Avengers Campus is a good example of this. It sort of fell short of expectations when it opened, and now they're expanding on it with Stark Flight Lab and Avengers Infinity Defense. Hopefully that improves the overall kinetic energy and feel of the land. We'll see. And the second reason I think Disney sort of did themselves a disservice by releasing this image of the Walt Disney animatronic first. This is the first released image of the animatronic. This is the second, and it's slightly better. But this image right here is taken from sort of a weird angle and makes him look a little strange. Some people have said it doesn't even look like Walt. I disagree, but some have said that his head looks a little puffy, and I can sort of see that. I think it's very, very well done and well sculpted. But there is a reason why the animatronic might look a little different, and that all comes down to size. Let's talk for a second about the Navi Shaman of Songs at Animal Kingdom. Now, the Navi Shaman of Songs on Navi River Journey at Animal Kingdom is a big animatronic because Navi are big, like 9 feet tall, 12 feet tall. Hold on, I gotta Google this. They range from 9 feet tall to 12 feet tall at the absolute max, so that's quite a bit taller than old 65-year-old Walt Disney that we see at the Main Street Opera House. You have to keep in mind, these are robots, they're mechanical, so having a bigger chassis or a bigger shell would allow for more robotic parts to be fit inside of that animatronic, and so the Navi Shaman of Songs can be maybe a bit more expressive, have some more movements than the Walt can, because physically it's a bigger animatronic and you can fit more mechanical components into it. Meanwhile, Walt has to stay the same height Walt was and also be a human animatronic. Human animatronics are very difficult, especially if it's a human we've all seen, or at least I've seen as much as I've seen Walt Disney. The partner statue, pictures around the parks, books, movies, videos. I see Walt everywhere, like almost on a daily basis. And so the theory is that in order to get all of the facial movements, all of the expressions into the Walt Disney animatronic's face, they had to expand it a little bit. Not make him look like he got stung by a bee or extra puffy or anything like that. They just had to make the components fit within the shell of the Walt animatronic, which is why he might look a little different to some people. That being said, though, I can't really speak on whether or not it actually looks like Walt in person. I've never met Walt in person. He's not not alive anymore, but going just based off of videos and photographs, I'd say it's a pretty close match. And I highly recommend you check this show out for yourself before forming any judgments, because even my video, I pride myself on how high quality my videos are. Even my video doesn't really do it justice, I'll admit that. But I absolutely loved the show. A big kudos to all of the Imagineers who worked on putting this show together. You did a great job, and I highly recommend you check it out. It's a nice little piece of Disneyland history right there at Disneyland. It's sort of like the perfect first attraction for you to go out and see when you get to Disneyland. It's right there when you enter the park on the right-hand side in the Opera House, and it sort of primes you for what you're about to experience and where it all came from. And now I turn the question over to you, my friend. Have you seen Walt Disney A Magical Life? I may have called it A Wonderful Life at some point in this video. Sorry, it's just a force of habit. The holiday season is very quickly approaching. Have you seen the show? What did you think of the show portion, you know, the video portion narrated by Bob Iger? And what did you think of the audio animatronic? I would love to hear your thoughts on it down in the comments below. Even if you think the animatronic looked a little wacky, explain why. Live action ad spot and wrap up of the video. Hey there everybody, thank you all so much for watching this video about the Walt Disney A Magical Life, not a Wonderful Life, A Magical Life show at Disneyland. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to hit the like button, and if you're new around here and you want more videos like this one, please be sure to hit the subscribe button. A very big thank you, as always, to all of my supporters over at patreon.com/offhanddisney. They're a group of lovely people who help support the channel, and for just $1 a month, you too, my friend, watching this right now, can join their ranks. The tiers go up from $1, but it starts at $1. So if you do have $1 to spare and you want to support the channel, there will be a link down in the description below. However, if you'd rather follow me for free, you can on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. I am at offhanddisney on all of those different social media sites. Just makes it a bit easier for you to find me. Sort of a different style of video this week. I mean, not really. It is an in-park video mixed together with a sort of retrospective sort of analysis video. I like filming these kinds of things. I know vlogs aren't really my speed. I don't know who would watch me for a vlog, but this is sort of like blending those two things together, and I think it really fits my style a bit better. Pretty fun. But I believe that wraps up this video, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. I do want to quickly mention, if I did see you during this trip to Disneyland where I filmed this Walt animatronic video, hello, it was lovely to meet you. I met so many wonderful people on this trip. It was a great time. And all of you watching right now, I will see you in the next video next week. Same place, probably same time, maybe not. We'll find out next week. Goodbye.